Shootout night one. I tell you what, we had a lot of good cars here tonight. 27 of the best super stock, I think, in Arkansas, Oklahoma, or Missouri. This was some great racing, a great racetrack for it. We started off with heat races, and in the first heat, on the first lap, Eddie Martin broke a distributor. So he was kind of out of the race. I think it started off, took a green flag, and immediately had a caution for him. They had to get him off the racetrack, and then we got everybody lined back up and restarted. It's a really good race, really competitive with these guys. I mean, there's not much difference in these cars at all. There's some of these cars are home built, some of them are factory built, but I'm gonna tell you, when they're on the Speedway, there's not much difference in any of them. They're all set up quite well. So in the first heat race, we had Kevin Salter from Batesville took the win, and Ty Evans, I call him the Giant Slayer, and the reason I call him that is because he's in a completely home-built race car. Him and his dad built that car in their shop. They do all the work on it. They do all the setup, and they really did a good job on this car. That's why I call him the Giant Slayer. I really pull for him because he's kind of an underdog in this game when you're running against some of these race cars. He ended up finishing second. Dale Richardson brought home third, and then we had Robert Knowles. He's another kind of underfunded guy that's a local guy here. He runs weekly. Talked to him before the race. He doesn't really spend the money some of these guys spend, but he had a great run. He's got a fast car, and he was able to finish fourth. And then, of course, Toby Lindell from Muskogee brought in fifth. Tommy New, he's running a brand new motor. He brought his car down today and put in a brand new motor at Bob's Machine Shop. I don't know what size, how many cubic inches it's got, but he must have had a problem with that thing because he went to the back and ended up pulling off the racetrack. I think he had a mechanical problem with that thing and pulled off. I'm sure he'll be back tomorrow night. Of course, Eddie Martin finished seventh, and the only reason is because he broke a distributor in the heat race. So that was heat race number one. Heat race number two, again, it was loaded with talent. I mean, Tony Anglin, Neil Johnson, Chris Lloyd, Richie Tosh, Randy Moses, Scooter Scruggs, Terry Muskrat. There's talent from the top to the bottom of that thing. Tony Anglin from Walnut Ridge, of course, he drives for Chris Lloyd. He was able to take the win. Neil Johnson, local guy, runs here on a weekly basis, came in second. And then, of course, Chris Lloyd, the owner of the team, he's in third. Richie Tosh from Toledo, Arkansas, came in fourth. I talked to Richie tonight before the race, and I asked him, I said, how many of these big shows have you won, Richie? And he said, at Batesville, I probably won over 20. I mean, he's quite a driver. It's fun to watch him race. Anywhere he goes, he's going to be near the cream of the crop. Randy Moses came in fifth. Of course, Randy, everybody knows Big Mo. He's been around this game for a long time. He finished fifth. Scooter Scruggs came in sixth. And of course, Terry Muskrat, trying to stay with that old style Camaro, he finished seventh from Stillwell, Oklahoma. The third heat race got really good. This was a pretty good race. We had Robbie Arnold on the point. Of course, Robbie is from Paragould, Arkansas. Robbie was on the point for most of that race, and they was 3-4 cars behind him. Of course, Heath Philpott, Chuck Knight, Jeff Metcalf, and Jim Philpott was all right there on him, trying to get around. They was they was using up the entire racetrack. They was 3 wide at times. Heath Philpott ended up passing on the outside, made a great outside pass for the lead. Of course, Chuck Knight, he came in second. That was a really good run for Chuck. He's been running these big races and just always seems to have a little bit of bad luck. But luck was on his side tonight, and he was able to get second out of that race. Of course, Jeff Metcalf, everybody knows Jeff. That's John Stan's son-in-law. And he's here. He told me he came out of retirement for this race. And I told him I was glad to see him here. He ended up finishing third. course, Robbie Arnold dropped back to 4th place. Jim Philpott, Burl Woods, and Michael Muskrat made up the rest of the field. It was a good race. From all these heat races was just really exciting and fun to watch as a fan. We went from that to the 4th heat race, and in the 4th heat race we had the Davlin, Gene and Dylan Davlin. That was last year's winner and last year's 2nd place guy in the 5,000 to win. Again, they finished 1st and 2nd, but this time it was the son Dylan taking 1st and Gene taking 2nd. And I talked to them before the race a little bit about that finish last year and about racing with each other, and they said, man, that is the most awesome thing to race with your son or to race with your dad. How awesome it is to finish 1-2. They thought in racing that would never happen, but it's happened here, and now it's happened the 2nd year in the heat race. So they should have a good starting spot for the shootout or the big race. Of course, Kyle Slater from Muskogee, he finished 3rd. H. Palmer, I think this was the 2nd time he's been out this year. He finished 4th, and of course Danny Sutherland 5th. I think Danny Womack had a problem with his car tonight. I noticed he was working on it after the races, and also he made several laps there trying to, it sounded like there was something in the car that just wasn't quite right, so I'm sure that they'll take that and work on it and get it right for tomorrow night. And then we had 2 B features with the top 5 going on to the Super Stock shootout, or the Super Stock Showdown for tomorrow night. These feature races, of course, there again, they were loaded from talent from 1st to 14th. They started 13th in the 2nd B, and they started 14th in the 1st B. Of course, Eddie Martin didn't get to start. Again, he had a broken distributor, so he was out for tonight. They'll get that car fixed, and they'll be back tomorrow night for sure. Gene Davlin took the win. He kind of run off and left everybody. He had open track, good wind in front of him, so he was able just to kind of have his way. The race was from 2nd on back. Had Tony Anglin and Heath Philpott, Richie Tosh, the top 4 there. Tony and Heath and Richie all put on a really good race. Toward the end of it, they kind of got spread out just a little bit, but it was still a good race for the most part. Tony Anglin ended up 2nd, Heath Philpott 3rd, and Richie Tosh came in 4th. Of course, the last transfer was Kevin Salter from Batesville. Now there again, Kevin Salter has won several big races at the Batesville area, West Plains, so he's familiar with winning these big races. So from there down, 6th place, it was Dale Richardson from Muskogee, and Jim Philpott finished 7th. He's from Greenwood, Arkansas. Of course, we love to see Jim. He's been a long-time supporter of Tri-State Speedway, and love to see him here. Again, Robbie Arnold finished 8th. He's from Paragould. Jeff Metcalf came in 9th. Burl Woods from Republic, Missouri came down, and he's driving a number 39 car this weekend. He ended up finishing 10th. Toby Lindell from Muskogee, 11th. And Tommy New, again, I think had a mechanical issue. He ended up finishing 12th. And Terry Muskrat finished 13th in the 1st B qualifier. So you had 5 transfer guys. Gene Davlin transfers. He'll be on the pole with the big race tomorrow night. Tony Anglin, Heath Philpott, Richie Tosh, and Kevin Salter. They'll make up the inside row of the 50-lap feature tomorrow night. So then we got to the B feature number 2. It was a good race. It was one that saw Chuck Knight get out front and lead the entire race with Dylan Davlin chasing behind. Now Dylan was slowly catching Chuck. It was a good race to watch because he was just slowly coming through the field and catching Chuck each lap. I think Chuck developed a push in the car, and he started slowing just a little bit, and then they got into lap traffic, and when they get into lap traffic, they had about 3-4 laps to go. They really worked the lap traffic for those last 4 laps. I mean, They was side by side and almost pushing the two cars in front of them. Finally, on the white flag lap, Dylan ended up getting past Chuck for the win, and then Chuck ends up finishing second. It was a good race for both drivers, and fun to watch. Again, the giant killer, Ty Evans, you know, he's right there in third place. He was right there on him. So he has nothing to be ashamed of there. Kyle Slater came in fourth. Robert Knowles fifth. Neil Johnson sixth. He's a local guy. H. Palmer, Chris Lloyd seventh and eighth. Danny Womack again had some mechanical issues. He finished ninth. Danny Sutherland 10th. Big Mo, Randy Moses come in 11th. Scooter Scruggs 12th. Michael Muskrat 13th. And that kind of made up the 2B features. So again, your transfers: Dylan Devon, Chuck Knight, Ty Evans, Kyle Slater, and Robert Knowles. Now, you got Dylan Devon and Gene Devon starting on the post. Dylan Devon will be on the outside pole. Gene Devon will be on the inside pole. This is going to be exciting to watch. So Saturday night, Tri-State Speedway is going to be the place to be. You're going to want to come and watch this 50-lap feature. I guarantee you, you won't see any better race anywhere in the state of Arkansas. If you like car racing, this is going to be the place to be. Tri-State Speedway Saturday night. 21st annual Super Stock Shootout. You need to come and watch this race. You need to support it. It's going to be a great race. Thanks.